People, morning and welcome to this new episode of Trini Trent TV, where we talk about the hits, the songs, the eras, the artists, and of course the albums that we love. And in this special episode, we're going to be doing a very different type of album review as we discuss Mariah Carey's new The Rarities album. So what we're going to do first is kick things off with my story as I share my early perspectives on the Rarities and the MC30 campaign that led us to this point. Then we're going to shift gears and dive into the album review of Disc 1 of the Rarities, where we play a game called Add It or Leave It. And then we're going to go all the way into Disc 2 as I share my favorite songs, my favorite performances from the live side of the album. Earlier this year in 2020, Mariah started the MC30 campaign, which was really a move for her to celebrate the 30th anniversary of her debut album. You know, she started releasing all of these rare remixes, unreleased tracks, compilations, all of these EPs, live performances. It was really a great move by her, and I was very excited when I saw it happen, because what I really felt it was her really showing us, you know, the yellow brick road that led her from 1990 to 2020, which basically coincides with the In Retrospect series that I did here on Trini Trent TV. I will link it below in my little description. Make sure you go and watch it now. My 5-part series talking about Mariah Carey's amazing 30-year career. So when she did this, I felt it was so awesome because it really showed so many people, casual fans, diehard fans, there's general pop culture fans, the breadth of Mariah Carey's impact on pop culture, just how far she's gone and how deep she's gone into the music industry, really having a lasting impact. And that leads us to the Rarities. You know, what I always wanted from Mariah was an album which just had like rare songs, unreleased tracks or B-sides that we never got to hear, or songs that weren't available digitally. And I really wanted her to give us something like that so that we could really get a clear sense of what Mariah was up to in so many of those different studio sessions and stuff that didn't make it onto the album, especially from the Sony years when we know she was so very much controlled by the machine, and as she described in the memoir, controlled by Tommy Mottola. I wonder how would those songs have fit onto the albums that were released in those respective time periods. You know, my mind started racing, and that's how I came up with this game called Add It or Leave It. So for this very special review of the Rarities Disc 1, as we talk about all of the unreleased songs, we're going to play Add It or Leave It. And basically the rules of the game are this. I'm going to sit down and, well, stand up because I'm a mother house. I'm going to stand up, and she don't want me sitting down on she good couch and messing up she furniture. But anyway, I'm going to stand up and go through each song and discuss how it will fit, how it could have fit onto one of the existing albums. So I'm going to say whether I would have added it to an album or left it off, and give you basically a quick explanation as to why. And if I decide, this is twisted, you know I always have a twist. If I decide to add a song to an album, what I have to do is remove one of the songs that already exist on that album's track list. That is what's going to make this very interesting. So let's kick things off with track 1. Here we go around again. This was recorded in 1990, around 1990 for Mariah's debut album, her self-titled debut. And as I listen to the record, what I really appreciate about it is, you know, that Motown sound. It has a very early Jackson 5, 1969, 1970, I Want You Back type of vibe. But as I listened to the track, I remembered thinking to myself, it sounds like Mariah is really focused on the vocal, but I'm not really getting the effervescence of the production matching that vocal. The feeling wasn't quite there. And at the very end of the song, she actually says, because it's a raw track, she says, that was iffy. So I can tell she wasn't fully connected. So if I had to decide whether to add the song to her debut album or leave it off, I say leave it. And the reason I say leave it is not because it's a bad record. It's because she was still trying to figure out her sound. And on top of that, I had to decide which song would I swap out for this record. The only songs that came to my mind was Someday or Prisoner. Someday has a strong hook, and that's actually one of her biggest hits ever. So I decided, you know what, you can't take Someday. And then I compared it to Prisoner, which is an album cut, but Prisoner had a more current sound for 1990. You know, it had that Tina Marie, Square Biz, rap song type of vibe, and I felt that the writing on Prisoner was so tight, and the feeling was there. So I just couldn't see myself swapping Here We Go Around Again for that. The next song on the Rarities is Can You Hear Me? Now, this was a song Mariah recorded in 1991, around the same time that she was recording the Emotions album. But it actually wasn't for her album. As she confirmed in the liner notes of the Rarities, it was actually a song that she worked on with Barry Mann with the hopes that Barbra Streisand would have recorded it, which gets me excited because, Mariah doesn't really do a lot of songs for other artists. So to think that she was actually working on something for someone else, especially for an icon like Barbra, somebody who predates and somebody who she looks up to, that must have been really exciting for her. And for me. But Barbra actually chose not to record the record, and Mariah actually sharing with us what the reference track was, the demo, the song that she would have cut, sent to Barbra so Barbra could hear, the melody and the structure of the song. And as I heard it, I could really get that because it sounds like Mariah is really singing in this heady part of her range that she doesn't often do. She was really pushing to give you this extra melodrama. So I felt that the song was a little bit out of step with what Mariah would normally do. And for that, I say leave it. Not only because of the approach that she was taking vocally, which is not bad at all, but I also felt that it was so adult contemporary, so 1991. Like you could hear this on a playlist with Peebo Bryson, Regina Belle, Celine Dion. It sounds very much in their lane, but it doesn't go along with the late 50s, 60s, and early 70s type of gospel, soul, and dance music that Mariah had done on Emotions. The next song on the Rarities is Do You Think of Me? This is a hit. This is a hitter. I love this song. This is my favorite song on the Rarities. It is so powerful. It's passionate. It goes beyond yearning. It's Mariah in an almost primal sound. It sounds like she really is beyond desire. She needs this person. I love the way she sings it. I love how raw her voice sounds. I love the way that she just injects you with passion with certain runs, especially as she's coming down to the end. See that last minute and 25 seconds of the song blows my mind. But as I listened to the track, I felt like, I would have loved for Mariah to have given this song also to Lisa Fischer. Because she was working on similar types of music in the early 90s. I could hear this on her album next to How Can I Ease the Pain. I know Mariah is a fan of Lisa Fischer, as she confirmed in her memoir, and she has said in previous interviews. But I also felt like, if I had to choose whether to add it or leave it on an album, because this was recorded in 1993. So if I had to choose if to add this to the Music Box album, which came out that year, I say leave it. Because this song has a very dark feeling to it. It has a grit to it that the Music Box album does not have. Remember, during that time, Mariah was really working toward having a more global sound, as we discussed in the In Retrospect series in the second episode. So, Do You Think of Me would not have actually fit on that album. So I say leave it. And if Mariah really wanted to record it on an album back then, I would have actually just recorded an entire album around that sound. The next song on the album is actually another one of my favorites. It's called Everything Fades Away. Mariah did this with Walter Afanasieff, and it's such a very lush, beautifully powerful, emotional type of ballad. It builds very slowly and then gets to this moment of sadness. It's so sad, but not sad in a boring, melancholy kind of way. It's sad in a moment that really draws you in. It feels like you're watching a film or listening to a film because she builds such a beautiful soundscape. What I love is the fact that she had the male voices on there. She mixed things up. She didn't give us the typical just Mariah singing, which is the whole of the Music Box album. I felt that this song, which was also recorded in 1993, with those male voices, it really added a different dimension. So that's why I say I would have added it to the album. And this is what Mariah says about Everything Fades Away. She says, "This was a B-side on the Hero single and never got the attention I feel it deserves. I guess the label didn't quite know how to categorize it musically at the time, but it's an early indicator of a place I would end up exploring further down the road." She says this in the liner notes of the album, and I fully agree with her. Because to me, even though the message and tone is different from the music of Underneath the Stars on the Daydream album of 95, Everything Fades Away musically feels like a precursor to that. It has that same lush sound, even the same introduction keys. So I felt it could have been an easy bridge to help bridge Music Box Mariah to Daydream Mariah. I would have put this song, Everything Fades Away, on the Music Box album and actually taken off Just to Hold You Once Again. It's not a bad record, but I always felt that Mariah was just going through the motions and she didn't give me the same feeling as Everything Fades Away. The next song on the Rarities is All I Live For, also recorded in 1993 from them Music Box sessions. You know, it sounded like Mariah was throwing away almost all the music. But anyway, All I Live For to me is a great record. It's New Jack Swing. It has that bounce and that fun vibe. I love the way she sings it. I love those keys. They're very understated in the first verse, but they're these sparkling keys in the background. And when I heard it, I thought of Babyface and Toni Braxton. I thought that this could have been a great song for Toni on her debut album. Mariah was really in a great place musically here. So in that case, I say add it. I would have added it to the album and taken off I've Been Thinking About You. Even though I've Been Thinking About You, you know, the production, it really gives you, ignore the construction in the background. It really gives you more of a forward thinking type of beats because, you know, that beat would have worked right through until about late 96. But I felt that the production on that song, it just didn't feel complete compared to All I Live For, which felt like a much smoother, well thought out type of song. The next track on the album is One Night. Now, this song is a trick. This is a rare bait and switch because it starts off like a ballad and then if you see me sweating, I'm starting to sparkle. It starts off like a ballad, you know, that very typically sung Daydream type of ballad from Mariah. But then the beat switches and it becomes this very brash, heavily in your face, you know, background vocal driven type of record that almost sounds like a high school type of jam. You know, it really is a different approach from Mariah and I thought it was very interesting. However, if it came to adding this to Daydream or leaving it off, I would have left it. Leave it. Because the song does not go along with the theme of that record. You know, Daydream is like a diary entry. It could have been a concept album, clearly, if they marketed it that way. It really went with this theme of Mariah sharing her thoughts about her own life and her own self. However, One Night speaks to the listener, so it would have been really jarring in that mix. The next song is Slipping Away, also recorded in 1995 during the Daydream sessions. Mariah said in her conversation with Misty Copeland on Amazon Live this year in 2020 that this is actually her favorite song on the entire Rarities. And I get why. It's peak Mariah. It's Mariah, the masterful writer, Mariah, because she did this song with Dave Hall, who also worked with her on Dream Lover and Fantasy. You know, she gives you those masterful lyrics, masterful production. The melodies are fantastic. Everything about that song screams just an artist who is perfectly aligned and understands her sound and knows who she is as a singer and as an artist. It is magnificent. So I would have added it to Daydream. And the reason I say that is because I felt that it matches the theme of the album. I can hear this on the album next to a song like Underneath the Stars. However, that means I would have to take another song off. And the only song I could think of replacing this with, because they are so similar and having them on the same track list would be a bit repetitive, is Long Ago. That's tough for me to say. But Long Ago and Slipping Away have a very similar vibe. And of course, the bass lines are similar. The next track on the Rarities is Out Here on My Own, which was recorded in the year 2000 for the Glitter album, which came out in 2001. This is a track that means a lot to Mariah because she got her first validation as an artist from this song. You know, it was the first song she ever performed in a talent show and won a trophy for. So it means a lot to her. And you can tell because you can feel the emotion in the record. And she sings it very straight. You know, it's a cover of Irene Cara, and she doesn't try to add too much or do all the Mariah-isms. You know, she keeps a lot of herself in line, and I think it was so beautifully done. However, when it comes to adding it or leaving it, I would leave it. Because although it would have given a lot of her fans in the 90s, you know, a through line, because a lot of the people with Glitter, that Glitter soundtrack, it threw so many people off because it was a shift and a turn in the direction of her music. But I felt that, you know, having too many ballads on that album, and having a song like this next to Lead the Way, it would have gotten kind of boring. It would have gotten dull. And the next song on this album, again, Dark as Rain Coming, and the next song on the Rarities is Loverboy. Now, the most controversial song on this album, because now we get to hear the original version of the Loverboy single, which was released from Glitter in 2001. Mariah first recorded this song using a sample of Firecracker from the Yellow Magic Orchestra. She took a very small piece of the music, which was composed by Martin Denny, and built the song around that loop. However, as she reveals in her memoir, this is not from me, so as Mariah says, allegedly, reportedly, supposedly, this was a song that Tommy Mottola sabotaged. The version that we know, which samples Candy by Cameo, which was released in 2001, is stronger than the version that we hear on the Rarities, which is the Firecracker sample. That Candy sample is stronger. It just speaks radio. It's an earworm. It's driving. It has more punch. And when you listen to the Firecracker sample, there are moments where it sounds like Mariah is kind of trying to figure out how to sing with the music, or at least she has an approach that I don't fully understand as a listener. And the hook, it feels sped up and it doesn't feel natural, not vocally. The music, it takes a speed up, like a ramp up, and then it slows back down. And for me as a listener, it made me uncomfortable. So I say, leave it off of the album. The next song on the Rarities is I Pray, which Mariah actually wrote for an artist by the name of Lena, who's now known as Lena, who performed on the Oprah show in 2005, then under the name of Paul Robbins. And Mariah never actually let us hear her version. So what we're hearing now on the Rarities is actually Mariah's reference track. And it's so beautiful. I love the message. It's well written. I love the key change. I love how it builds with the choir. Great record. However, in 2005, this would have had to have gone on Emancipation of Mimi. And this song could not exist on the same album as Fly Like a Bird because they are the same message. And Fly Like a Bird is magnificent. The next song on the Rarities is Cool on You. I love the production. I love how it flows. I love how smooth it is. The lyrics are a bit jarring. It wasn't meshing well. The lyrics and the production. So for this song, when it comes to 2008's equals MC squared, because this was 2007, I would say leave it. I would not listen to that record, especially since the only song I can see myself taking off would be a song like I'm That Chick. And I'm That Chick is such a strong record. And the next song on the album is Mesmerized. This to me is one of my favorites on the Rarities. It's so strong. It's brilliant. I love how lushy production sounds. I love how Mariah sings it. And I felt that this was such a great moment that could have been part of that disco revival. Now, Mariah recorded this song for the Paperboy soundtrack, which is actually a film by Lee Daniels. And I would have added it to her album in 2014, the Me I Am Mariah, the Elusive Chanteuse, especially since, as we discussed in the final episode of the In Retrospect series, she had that very much nostalgic focus and was thinking back on previous eras of R&B. So I think the Rain Reach, I think it would have worked so well on that album. And it could have been a great single because it would have fit so perfectly well in that disco revival happening at that time. So I would have added Mesmerized and taken out You Don't Know What to Do. So now let's quickly talk about awesome songs while the rain falling and the drills going in the construction site next door. My favorite live performances from the live side of the Rarities. I'll give you all three. First up, Underneath the Stars. I love this song and this performance. I actually like the performance a bit more than I love the recorded version because we get to hear her just break free on the bridge. It's such a magical song. The second awesome song, I would say I Don't Wanna Cry. She recorded this song back in 1990. It was a #1 song for her. But by this point, her voice had evolved. And she was singing it with new meaning. And I really loved what Mariah did with this live performance at the Tokyo Dome in 1996. And then I would shift my third awesome song. I would say, honestly, Just Be Good to Me. I listen to this version of the song all the time. It's a cover. And Mariah did such an awesome song, an awesome performance. I really love how free she was. And I think this gave us a glimpse of where she was going to go the next year with Butterfly. Thank you for watching this episode of Trini Trent TV. I know it has suddenly gotten very dark. I have on my little light, but it's the best I can do for now. You understand? Pretend I'm in a movie. Anyway, I am very grateful that you watched this episode. Please leave a comment. Let me know if you agree with my choices. Let me know which songs on the album, on the Rarities, you would have added to the track list of her albums and which songs you would have taken off. Play the game. Add it or leave it. And if you're not feeling to do all our work, just tell me which songs you like. All the music is actually available on streaming services as well as on Mariah's YouTube channel. So you could go and listen to all the songs I just talked about. It's not something exclusive. Anyway, thank you very much. Your boy is tired. So I'm just showing up when I can. If I take a break soon, I'll take a break. I'll let y'all know. But I'm doing my best. And I am so grateful for everyone who tunes in. Sometimes I wonder if anybody's listening. But when I look at the comments and I see the awesome participation, I'm always so grateful. Thank you very much. And I'll catch you next time here on Trini Trent TV.